Okay, here we go then. The last race of the day, it's all to play for. Race 2, it all comes down to the next 14 laps. And away they go. Now, and there's Darren spinning out as well. Darren, there's contact there, push Kieran wide. Oh, but he's gone off. What's going on? Shane's also there in the BMW. Oh, nearly loses it. Kieran's going to have to slow down. No, he's gone too much. It's Josh here, and he is leading. This is fantastic for Josh. Oh, a bit of a love tap. And Josh, oh my God, who's going to take it? I think it's Darren. I think it's going to be Rob. Rob gets it. He's actually on the grass. This isn't good for Tom. And he's made the move. Look at that. Through Eau Rouge. Oh, that's Mike. Mike's gone off. Oh, Craig sideways. Big time. Is it going to be enough? No, Sam takes it and takes the title ahead of Tom. Here's the grid for race 2 then. On the front row of the grid, we've got Darren Parker in the first of the Team Parker Racing Renault Megans. Next to him, we've got Craig Kellett in the first of the Elliott Racing Nissan GCRs. Row 2, we've got Sam Parker in the second of the Team Parker Racing Renault Megans. Next to him, we've got Mike Kuipers in the Nissan GTR. Row 3, we've got Mark Nichol in the Renault Megane. Next to him, we've got Tom Foster in the first of the KTEC Racing Subaru WRXs. Row 4, we've got Rob Pellet in the Nissan GTR, and we've got Harry Cook in the Nissan GTR for the Independents. And on the back row of the grid, we've got Josh Hardy in the Renault Megane, and the return of Kieran Thomas in the KTEC Racing Subaru WRX. Here we go then, race 2, and on the front row of the grid is Darren Parker with Craig. Can Craig get the win back ahead of the Parker Racing? And that's a bad start for Sam there, and a great start for Mark again. So Mark has gone into 4th, but an even better start for Mike in the Nissan. Into the first corner, and a little bit of rough and tumble. Oh, that's Tom going wide, and that's quite a few cars going wide there into the gravel. On board of Kieran after a trip to the sand with Tom and Josh, looked like. The 2 KTEC Subarus at the rear end of the grid, and at the moment it's Tom as well who's struggling. The KTECs not normally seeing them further down the grid, so at the moment they seem to be struggling. On board with Josh behind Kieran now, and Josh now looking to make up for his poor start in race 1. We're used to seeing Josh just a little bit further up, and that's a big oh, it's a big dive, and it's actually pushed Sam wide, and Josh is on the grass, and Josh spins. So that's Josh back down to the back of the grid again for the second time here at Monza, and really this is the last thing that Josh needs. So let's have another little look at the replay there to see what happened with Josh. Let's have a little look and see what happened on board with Josh here. So he actually dives in quite aggressively, hits the back end of Sam, who actually gets repositioned by Josh in the end, but Josh goes off on the grass, spins around. Yep, so unfortunately Josh just went too aggressively into the corner, took out Sam, so I think the stewards will look at that and potentially give him a penalty, and that's going to affect Josh even further into this round here at Monza. So in the lead then, after watching all that happen, is Mark Nichol. This is fantastic for Mark. So Mark is on the softs, and Craig and the 2 Parker Racing Renaults are on the hard tyres. So as much as Mark has got the slight advantage of being on the softs, it's still a great lead. He's already building up a big gap. So it's early days, but this could be the first independent win outright for anyone in the history of the FeckWrest Touring Car League. On board with Craig, and he's actually got Mike on the left hand side here. And this is proving to be a very similar race to race 1 for the top 5, and it could be a sign of things to come for the season. And yet we see no Subarus. We're saying that Kieran is in 7th, sorry, fighting with Sam Parker. Oh, bit of a love tap. And they both go wide. Kieran's got him on the inside. Kieran running with the black wheels this season rather than the gold. Tom ran the black, and Tom has decided to go with grey wheels. Hopefully it'll be easy to tell the difference. Back on board with Kieran, and that's a last minute break into the first chicane, but it's got him still ahead of Sam, with Rob ahead in 5th. So Rob again making some great progress in that Nissan, and I think he can take. Oh, he's pushing Darren here. So this is great for Rob, who actually took a 2nd place here last season at Monza. And Rob, as you said before, racing with Craig, and the rumours swirled around in between the 2 seasons. Initially the rumour was that Craig was teaming up with Josh Hardy in a Renault, but it wasn't to be, and it turned out that Craig had teamed up with Rob to form Elite Racing. Very clever name for the team. And Rob goes slightly wide there, but still looking great, and he's actually got the inside of Darren, so Rob's put himself into 4th position. So Elite Racing looking strong here at Monza again, and he's actually just behind the other Nissan with Craig. So up ahead it looks like they're having a battle. Yep, that's Craig fighting with Mike, and very early on we're seeing the strength of these Nissans. Good overall pace and 4-wheel drive, so they will be quick around the corners. Another little bit of a tap on the back end of Mike. And look how quick that Nissan gets the exit out of the chicane there. Here's our leader, Mark, in the newly liveried Red Bull backed Renault Megane. Last season was backed by Golf, but a new deal has come into place to represent the energy drinks company, which you see every day in lots of other teams in F1 and very many other motorsport series. On to lap 5 then for Mark, and if he stays as he is, which he's actually built a really big lead, so almost a dominating race so far. Back here with the push for 2nd for Mike and Craig, and Mike is also independent, so pushing for those independence points, and Craig is struggling to get past him, but he's on the back end constantly. Let's have a look further down. Rob's still in 4th, and Darren and Sam are now on the hard tyres, so this is essentially going to be their race to grab as many points as they can. Josh Hardy moving his way up into 7th ahead of Kieran in the Subaru. So again, the Subarus are much further down than you would normally see them and struggling around here at Monza. Maybe it's the straight line speed. They're usually quick around the corners, but the long nature of the straights means that they just quite keep up. Further down is Harry, and again Harry just continuing to get those points on the hard tyres in this race, so continuing on from where he left off from race 1. Further down is Tom, and something must have happened with Tom again, so down in last place. And if you look at where Tom is, he is miles behind, absolutely miles. So whether Tom's had an off somewhere, a big off, or he's just struggling here at Monza, and again a poor representation from K-Tech Racing and the Subarus. Back in the lead then, Mark continuing to lead by a fair distance. Now Mike has got a gap ahead of Craig, so Rob is not too far behind Craig, so this is good for Rob, and he may be able to head for a podium first of the season. This will be some fantastic points. Oh, a little bit of a mistake though, so nothing too serious, but it's going to allow the three Renaults to catch up and potentially pass. Now this is going to be interesting. Unfortunately, the two teams of Elite Racing and Parker Racing decided to go with almost identical colour schemes of black, aqua and purple, therefore making it slightly difficult to tell the difference. Luckily they have very different designs. On board with Sam then, behind Darren, and in 6th, just ahead of Josh, who is building up his pace now, and he actually had an incident earlier where the stewards are still looking at, so it will be, as much as Josh is in 7th, he could be looking at getting a penalty. On board with Josh then, behind the two Renaults. Oh, that's Darren running wide. That's a bit of a mistake by Darren, and that's actually allowed Kieran to go ahead. So Darren's struggling on the hard tyres here. Just a slight wide exit, and it's actually lost him 2 places, pushing him down to 8th. Now Kieran is taking the fight to Josh and the other Parker Racing of Sam. Hopefully getting some points for K-Tech, who are at the moment really struggling in the teams after one race. Kieran just a little bit too late for race 1, so it all started before he arrived, which denied him the position on the grid and a no points finish. Sam now behind Josh, so Josh has got ahead of Sam, but taking the slipstream. Can he get him on the first chicane? No, not to be, although Josh goes slightly wide, wheel spinning. Sam on the back end of Josh, and he's gone on the inside of that second chicane, but he's held back, not quite got the pace. This is a three-way tussle now with Kieran caught up, so Kieran could fight and gain more points for the Subaru. Oh, slight back end kicking out there for Sam. So Mark is still leading with Mike in second and Craig in third, so the laps are counting down, nearly onto the 9th lap, lap 9. Can Kieran get the slipstream on the back end of Sam here? It looks like he's taken the wide end turn, and he could get him on the inside. This is close stuff. Now they go down the start finish straight, side by side, two very different looking cars. Has Kieran got it? As a late break. Ah, that's fantastic. Looks like Kieran's got him. Yeah, a great pass by Kieran. And Sam has to settle for 7th with Darren and 8th. So the Team Parker Racing Renaults are falling further down the grid. Now we've got Rob just behind Craig now. So it looks like, whoa! That's put Rob into 3rd. So Rob is on the podium. Now looking at this, I don't think we've ever seen a podium without Craig or the 2 Parker Racing cars on it. So we've got Mark, Mike and Rob, which is great to see. And Josh is now ahead of Craig, so Josh really pushing from the back of the grid after his mistake. Again, the stewards are looking at that incident, so it's not looking great for Josh, but he is picking up the pace and getting ahead of these Nissans. As they come across the start straight line, Josh is on the outside then. Oh, bit of a tag, and that is Craig who's run wide, and he goes into the orange by a barricade, so Craig is going to lose some positions. Kieran takes up 5th then. Josh looks like he is wanting that podium desperately ahead of Rob. And Rob has been building his pace up in that Nissan, getting hands on and looking confident now. Rob goes slightly wide, hits the gravel, and so that allows Josh to go on the outside. Oh, Josh has hit the grass and he's hit Rob as well, so Rob has gone into the barriers. Josh stays in 3rd. Where's Rob? Rob's down in 7th position, and that's Craig gone wide as well, so Craig has gone down to 7th. Oh my god, that's a really big accident. big contact between Josh and Rob, so Rob will be furious after that. I mean, it was Josh who hit the grass, but Josh has stayed in third. We don't know if he's slowing down just yet, and it looks like not to be. And not only that, there's Tom. So looking at Tom, I think he's basically being overlapped, so something definitely wrong with that car. And Tom has been lapped by the front leaders, and this is going to be a disaster for Tom. So looking at Josh here, you'll see Rob will go slightly wide onto the gravel just there, look, and Josh gets the better exit, but he's too wide in the corner, hits the grass, and he's actually hit Rob quite hard and pushed him into the barriers. On board with Rob, and you see Josh in the background as he goes to overtake him. Big impact. Oh, Rob really lucky not to actually spin it completely on those barriers, but it's actually allowed all those three cars to pass, so really big frustration for Rob there. So where is Rob? There's Rob. So Rob now in sixth. It's still a good points finish, but it's not the third that Rob was looking at getting. So now there's Josh again. So Josh has made a mistake, and it's allowed Kieran now to go into third. So the Subaru is back up on the podium, where we're normally used to seeing it, but somewhere down the line Josh has made a mistake. This is good for Kieran. Needs the points to make up for the lack of attendance of race 1. Although Josh is pushing, and he's got a good run from the back end. A little bit of contact, and Josh has taken the third place back again. So the podium position is changing right up to the last moments as they go on to the final lap of the race. In the lead still is Mark, ahead of Mike here. Mike has been racing on his own the whole way, as has Mark, but this is really good stuff from the two independents. As some contact there. I think that's Rob. Rob has hit Kieran, so Rob resets as well. Let's have a little look at that again to see what happened with Rob into that corner. Looking at Rob then as he comes down the start finish straight, and he just outbrakes himself way too much into Kieran there, and then resits himself. Maybe it almost looked like he was aiming for Josh to get some payback after the first incident. Yeah, so unfortunately Rob did just go a bit too heavy into that corner. Stewards may look at that. He did reset himself, so we'll see what happens with that. Here is our leader on his own, flawless, no mistakes whatsoever, and by quite a distance on those soft tyres. This will be the first independent win for anyone in the history of FeckWrest touring cars, and it's the first win for Mark Nicol in the Renault Megane, the Red Bull livery. Mark takes the win ahead of Mike Kuipers a good second position, another second. Mike's already had one, but the first in the Nissan. Josh comes away with a third position on the podium, but we will look at see if his incidents will be reviewed. Kieran takes fourth, Sam will take fifth. Craig Kellett, a difficult race for him, will take sixth ahead of Rob with after the accident in seventh. Disappointing for him. Darren will take eighth, and Harry will come across to hopefully take ninth ahead of Tom, who looks like he's retired and is out of the race completely. There we go, ninth for Harry. Here are the results for race 2 then. Mark gets the win for the independents ahead of Mike in second, Josh in third, noticing there that all top 3 are independents. Fourth for Kieran, then Sam fifth, sixth is Craig, Rob is seventh, Darren is eighth, Harry is ninth, and Tom unfortunately gets disqualified after finding out he's actually chosen the wrong tyres completely for that race. Let's have a look at little look at the standings for the series then. Leading now is actually Mark Nicol with 31 points. In second is Mike in for 30. In third is Darren with 29. Fourth is Craig with 28. Fifth is Sam on 26th. Josh is sixth with 24. Seventh is Rob on 18. Harry is 8th with 15, and Kieran is in 9th with 13, and unfortunately Tom is at the back with 10 points after that no point finish. In the teams, and it is Parker Racing still leading with 63 points, Elliot not too far behind with 56, and K-Tech are quite far behind now with 33 points. In the independents then, in the lead, actually joint lead, is 37 points with Mike and Mark after the 2 finishes they've had from race 1 and 2, and joint second for Harry and Josh, both on 28 there as well. So Josh, again, lots of work to do to try and retain the title so far.